few days ago, my fiance and I were watching the Voltorb flip video by Checker Conroy, where he describes a lot of things wrong that he has with Voltorb flip. Um, there are a few problems I have with the video. Mainly one, my fiance and I watched it, and we both just yelled at the TV and just said "skill issue." Um, I find Voltorb flip very fun. That being said, a lot of my friends hate Voltorb flip with a burning passion. I quite enjoy it. I kind of don't like the slot machines in a lot of Pokemon games, and I hadn't played Pokemon in like a good 10 years before a few years ago when my friends were doing like a Soul Silver Nuzlocke, and I got to Voltorb flip, and I ended up really enjoying myself for like a good 5 hours straight of I think just Voltorb flip, and it was a lot of fun. So imagine my surprise when Chaga sort of went on the giant rant about it. And it was fine. I hadn't heard Chugga that mad other than about Sticker Star in a long, long time. But I agree with a lot of the sort of, I guess, flack that he got. Of number one, he didn't really describe how Voltor Flip worked, and his insistence on it's all just entirely random is a bit misleading. So when you see this here, I don't know if you can see my mouse, but so let's say this row here. It says 6-1. You can genuinely derive information from that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try to defend Voltorb Flip while also explaining how it works and what I do when I play it for fun or otherwise. And because one big complaint that a commenter I saw on Blue Sky have about the video, and I agree with, is that he didn't really explain how it worked. So I'm going to explain how it worked. So Voltorb Flip. It is similar to Minesweeper. It is a 5x5 tile grid, and each row and column tells you how many points there are and how many Voltorbs there are. The goal is to flip as many of the tiles that have points in them while avoiding all of them that have Voltorbs. A tile can either have 1 point, 2 points, or 3 points, or it can have a Voltorb. Once you flip all of the either 2 or 3 point tiles in on the board ends and it flips all of them over, and then it moves on to the next sort of level. And in the context of Soul Silver or Hard Gold, the more points you get, the more coins you get, and the higher level you go, the higher level you get, and the more currency you get to buy stuff. So how does this actually work? So let's look at this second row here. By the way, this is an emulator, or not an emulator. This is like a recreation of Voltorb Flip made by a wonderful, wonderful human being. I actually recommend playing this on mobile. It's a bit weird to play this on a desktop, personally, but whatever. So there are a few things you can do. So when you're actually like highlighting the individual squares, you can either just click to flip it. For example, I'm going to click on this, and okay, it's 1 point. Also, I could also open up a memo screen, and what I can do is I can go over to a highlighted one, and I can mark it with any of these following markings. So this memo feature is going to be very, very important when I'm sort of talking about how I actually play Voltorb Flip. So in terms of strategy, I have all these rows and columns tell you how many Voltorbs there are and how many points there are. So thing number one, and this is probably the most obvious one, if there are 0 Voltorbs in a row or column, you can just flip all of them. There is no risk to it. You do not need to memo at all. And then this one also has 0. Also, I want to point out, level 1, there's almost always like a definitive solution you can do. But Voltorb Flip is not a game about pure logic. This is not logic bombs or anything. It is not a game about risk elimination. It is a game about risk minimization. So, for example, this first level is almost certainly going to have a guaranteed solution, but a lot of them are not, and it's about getting to that 50-50 chance as opposed to a 5% chance of just doing it randomly like Chugga was doing. I have a feeling that Chugga tried for a long time when he was younger to try and figure it out, and has more or less succumbed to despair in being able to figure it out. But with this next thing, I want to try to help dispel that. And then I'm just going to keep playing the game. So after you do 0 Voltorbs, like I did here and here, here's what I do next. And this is going to be a bit weird to say. Let's take row 3 here. 2 and 3. So there are 2 points here, and there are 3 Voltorbs here. If the sum of the points and the Voltorbs equals 5, I can ignore this entire column. Why? Why can I do this? So the reason I can do this is because if there are 3 Voltorbs here, and then there are 2 points here, that means, let's just say these 3 are Voltorbs, and in order to get to 2 points, this one needs to be a 1, which it is, and then this one has to be a 1. But because the game only wants you to flip all of the point values that are 2 or 3, you don't need to flip any of these. You can just ignore them. And then same thing for same thing for column 1, 4 and 1. If one of these is a Voltorb, and the points are then distributed amongst these 4, and it's 4 points total, then these 4 have to be 1, 1, 1, 1. Therefore, I can ignore these as well. So I'm going to do this. Oh. My error keys are sticky right now. Okay. Same thing here, 2 and 3. I can just completely demarcate this. So I can ignore it. I can ignore this one too. Okay, so now I only have 4 ones left. So let's try to figure this out. Okay. Now, once you've sort of done that basic heuristic, I can now go to these 4 tiles and try to think about this. So this is 6 and 1, which means, let's see here. Assuming this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So one of these has to be a 2. Because with the point values that I currently have, I don't have enough to get to 6. So I do have to flip one of these. So let's try this one. 3, 4, 5, 6. And if there's one Voltorb, which is here, I have to flip either one of these 2. So it's going to be 50-50 shot here. And then for this one, I even have less information on. And then this one, I have even less information on. So one of these 4 could be a Voltorb. And right now, I do have to guess. So let's just guess this one. Okay, so this is a 1, so it has to be this one. And now this column, I'm just doing this to be safe. This one has to be done because I have 2, 3, 4, 5. And then if I assume this one's a Voltorb, then this entire column is done. So it has to be this one. Oh, whoops. It has to be this one. Perfect. All right, so level 2 now. We're going to go through the 0 Voltorb columns and rows first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now we're going to move on to the ones that subtotal 5. This is 3 and 2, which equals 5. So I can just completely eliminate this column. And then I can completely eliminate this column too. Okay. So I can eliminate this column as well because it's 3 and 3. So, which means there are 2 panels, which total 3 points. Now, I already have a 2 here, which means that the other panel has to be a 1, and the other 3 are Voltorbs, so I can just completely ignore this row. Got it? 4 and 2, same thing. If there are 2 more squares that have points in them, and the point total is 4, and I already have a 2, I can ignore these 2. 6 and 1, I need to leave this open. 5 and 1, I need to leave this open. Okay, so there's a 3 here, and this is a very dangerous column because now I basically have to do a bunch of 50-50 chances for this one. So I'm going to ignore this. I'm going to flip this. This could be a Voltorb. It is not, so it has to be this one. So that column is done. So 3, 3, so that is already 6, and then the next point has to be 1, and then the other two are Voltorb, so I can get rid of this column, which means the final square is this. Perfect. All right, level 3 now. So look for the zeros. There's a 0 here. 1, 1, 2, 1, 2. Perfect. All right, there are no more zeros, so I'm going to open up the memo menu. So I can get rid of this one because there's a 2 here, and then I need 2 more points to get to 4, and then there are 2 Voltorbs total, which means this row is done. Let's see here. There are none that equal 5. That makes this interesting. Okay, so now we're going to get to the stages where you're going to need to make a lot of coin flips. So this is probably not the most optimal thing to do, but for stuff like this, I just look at the point totals and the Voltorb totals and just hit a button. So realistically I can do this one or this one, but I'm going to do just this one. It could be a Voltorb. It's not. Okay. So 2, 4, 5, 6, and then 1. So this row still has a point panel in it that I need to flip. We're going to leave it alone. This one still has a point panel. I'm just going to flip this one. 3. Okay. So 5, 6, 7 if this is a Voltorb, so I can ignore this. Okay, so 3, 4, 5, 6 if that's a Voltorb, so I can get rid of this. Alright. Where can I start next? Yeah, this row concerns me a lot. I guess I will do one of these two just to do risk minimization. I'm expecting one of these to be a Voltorb. It isn't. Okay, that makes things interesting now. All right, so it is a 50-50 chance on this. I'm going to leave that for right now. So I can do this, this, or this. I'm going to play it safe. Perfect. I'm actually getting really lucky here. I can ignore these because assuming the one on the left is Voltorb, 2, 3, 4, 5, which means all of the points and Voltorbs here are accounted for. 2, 3, 4, assuming these two are Voltorbs, so I can ignore this. Okay. Now we're going to get to the tricky ones. So this would be 50-50 and this would be 50-50. All right, Jesus, take the wheel. Oh, no, I lost. Okay, so one thing I will say, this is going to be the last board I do. One thing I will say, the methods by which your level drops, I don't know the reason. I don't know why sometimes you just drop down to level 1 and sometimes you just drop down to level 2. Completely unknown behavior to me. Okay, so I'm going to do this column here because it's 0, and do this 0 too. Let's get rid of the ones that equal 5. So 3 plus 2 equals 5. 3 plus 2 equals 5. 4 plus 1 equals 5. 4 plus 1 equals 5. I can ignore this one because it's 3 and 4, so I can just mark these, and I know those for sure. That one's 5, so it has to be this one. Yep. All right, that was quick, so I'm going to try level 3 again. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Any more zeros? Nope. So I'm going to get rid of the 5s. This column totals 5. This row totals 5. No others total 5. Okay, so this is 2, 5, 1. So 2, 3, 4, 5. And then if this one is the 1 Voltorb, then I can get rid of this column. And then I am now at guessing time. So all 3 of these have 2 Voltorbs in them, or at least 2 Voltorbs in them. This one is 3. So I'm just going to stick with this one and then do the 7 and 8 just for point maximization purposes. All right, so if it's 8 points, do both of these have to be correct? So 3, 4, 5, 6. So there are 2 points that are needed. So if it's 3, 6, 7, 8, that could be a possibility. Or it can be 3, 5, 7, 8. It's definitely not this one. This was either the Voltorb or a 1. So I'm going to just flip this one. Okay, I lost. All right. So that is the basics of Voltorb Flip. I will say it is hard, but there is a method to the madness, and remember, it is not a risk minimization. It is it is not risk elimination. It is risk minimization. I find it a lot of fun. I just do this when I'm bored. Sometimes I usually do it on mobile. But yeah, I hope that sort of explains why us vocal minority of Voltorb flippers enjoy what we do. So yeah, Chugga skill it's you. But I like the game a lot. That's sort of the methods I've done. I am not the best player of Voltorb Flip. I'm not the best player of Minesweeper. But yeah, that's just what I've figured out over the years in terms of being able to maximize your chances. I've gotten as far as level 8 before, but granted, that required a lot of good coin flips.